Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips, and this is another week in my reselling life. Sorry, that was, it is what it is. It's an intro. I got the name right. All right. Big episode this week. Not a big episode, it's just another episode. But it's like the 25th, maybe. 25th episode. I don't know. It's either 24th or 25th. It's definitely not the 24th, but it's either the 25th or the 26th, but who knows? We're not going to get into all that right off the bat. All right, so it's another week in reselling. Man, did I have a weekend. Yeah, I got a storage unit. The whole story is really wild. I don't know if I should start with that or talk about the estate sale I'm doing this week. I'll talk about the estate sale because that's, in case people don't listen to the whole thing, I want to get the estate sale out of the way because if you're in Connecticut, if you're in the Connecticut area, like West Hartford area, that's not where I'm from. So first of all, I apologize. I feel sorry for you if you live in Connecticut. No, I'm just kidding. Connecticut's not that bad. I hate driving in Connecticut, though. If you live in Connecticut, your roadways are fucking terrible. And this is I would rather drive in Boston, to be honest with you. And I hate driving in Boston. But, the Connecticut roads are they're fucked. I don't like them. None of them make sense. Anyway, so if you're in the Connecticut area, sorry, after I just insulted you, and you're interested in this sale, just hit me up on Instagram. I'm going to post it on Instagram anyway. But just hit me up on there. And, if you, there's going to be a lot of stuff. So I'm doing an estate sale for my wife's grandmother, I believe. Yeah, I believe. Who am I doing it for again? Yeah, my wife had, her grandma is still going strong. She's, I think about to turn 100, but she lived by herself until she was 99, which is crazy. I'm not even looking at the camera. I'm looking away from the camera. I'm just so used to just talking to myself. I still can't figure out how to get these fucking videos together. I'm still working on it. I'm fucking so retarded when it comes to that shit. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah, so basically, doing a sale this weekend. Went up there a couple days ago. We've been up a couple times. We went up once specifically for that, and then this time we went up specifically for that. But it's a couple minutes from where my wife's family lives. And so, so we're gonna be going up there Friday, going up there early. So went up there to take some pictures. It's a lot of cool stuff. I took some stuff. So there was they gave me a tote of t-shirts. So they're all really cool t-shirts, but unfortunately I sell t-shirts. So I took those. I'm going to be, there's so many of them. Not a ton, but probably 20 to 30 of them. So I'm probably going to take a handful. I have so many clothes right now. Take a handful of those and then just give the rest or trade the rest to my homie with the shop or whatever. So yeah, a lot of stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I love doing sales. It is crazy to see to be on the other side of the estate sale process. I try to be as chill as possible about it. You know what I mean? I know people get fucking worked up. A lot of times they get annoyed when you wait until 9, but it's dude, that's what the family wants. So, and I get it, you know what I mean? That's why I try not to be a dick about things, when they're in terms of sales, if they're oh, a little bit early, whatever. But this one, we're actually just not, we gotta drive 2 hours, and then I gotta drop my kids off at their grandma's. My wife's working that day, so she's gonna come up later in the day and meet us there. So she's got a 3-hour drive after work, so that's going to be rough. And then, yeah, so we're doing it Friday, Saturday. But yeah, they just want everything gone. they were initially going to just get a dumpster and throw everything away, but my wife was like, we can help you with an estate sale. You know, she actually was the one who brought it up. You know, we've done it before for family members in the past. So it dipped our toes. I don't know if I'd want to do it full time. I mean, it is a lot of work. You know what I mean? And a lot of times if you have all this stuff in place, I mean, right now it'd just be like, you know, it's just me, basically. My wife helps out when she can, but it's like, it's got to be on a day when she's off. And we were going to just do a 1-day sale on Saturday, but then a friend of mine ended up having the day off from his job on Friday, so he's going to go up with me. So that's always fun too. He did the last sale with me. He did like the second day of the last sale. So this is his first time doing the first day of the sale. So that'll be fun. We have a good time. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I usually bring a speaker, like get some music going, not too loud, but we'll see. I don't know how we're going to do it for this one. So yeah, but I did get some cool stuff. So I got those t-shirts. I got a couple cool posters. So I don't know. Nobody in the family knew who they belonged to. So, a couple posters, like a cool blacklight poster from like the 70s or 60s, I forget, but it's really trippy. And then a couple other like odds and ends here and there that we got, and then we're gonna get like a percentage of whatever we sell. So, you know, gonna be a good time. So, on to the next. So the storage unit I got this past week, I thought it would take longer to talk about the estate sale, but I guess not. So the storage locker that I got recently, yeah. So it was like, what night was it? I think it was Thursday. It must have been Thursday night. It had to be Thursday night. So Thursday night, there was a storage unit. I always check, you know, at night, the storage unit auctions just to see if there's any closing the next day, because they typically close around noon during that day. So I I went on there and I checked, and there was like 3 of them that were closing in like 45 to 50 minutes. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. Is this like need to be reloaded? So I reloaded it, and then sure enough, and I checked it, and it said midnight. You know, that was when it was supposed to, or 12 a.m., whatever. That was when the auction was going to end. So in my head, I'm like, oh, these people fucked up. Like because they only put 1 picture per storage unit. And so there was one that was just like, you could tell a ton of furniture. Another one that you could tell was just like some baby stuff, other stuff mixed in. Then there was a third one that was like a wild card. So there was a ton of boxes, all like stacked, whatever, some totes. And so, but you couldn't really see much. Obviously, it was just 1 picture, and they didn't have a great camera. So I'm like, all right, there's nobody has bid on this unit. So I'm like, all right, I'll bid on it. It's $10. So I bid, and then, you know, I waited. Of course, I was going to go to sleep, but then I'm like, I can't sleep. Like, I'll wait and see. So then nobody else bid. I won the unit, $10. So I'm like, all right, sweet. I had my kids the next day. I'm like, fuck. So I get the kids in the car, and first I look, and like, I always forget to check like daytime versus nighttime as far as like going to meet somebody or whatever, going to a sale. So I check at night, and it says it's only 35 minutes away. Well, during the day, there's construction on that road, so there's like, it adds like an extra 10 minutes. So it's like 45 minutes away now. So this unit that I thought was going to be a quick 35-minute drive is now 45 minutes. So I'm like, all right, cool. Load the kids in the car, drive, get there. You have to pay $100 cash deposit, cleaning deposit, and then you get that back after you clean out the unit. So pay the guy, go. he's like, oh, you should probably pull your car up here, to the loading dock, and then you can come right in and out of this door. So he shows me where to go, brings me over to the unit, opens it up. And at first the unit's like a little bit musty, like, but then it's like, all right. So the dude leaves. I go, come back. And right off the bat, I start noticing like mice poop, on a few things. So I've got gloves on. I don't have a mask the first day. So I'm just kind of like, I get in and I'm like, oh, this unit is gross. Like, gross. It started to smell a little bit. And so I just started taking stuff out, like whatever I could. Like luckily there was sellable stuff there. There was like a bag of clothes that were pretty nasty, but like not nasty in the inside, but they were like, they were in plastic, so they were okay. I still soaked them and like fucking washed the shit out of them before washing them again. Like, so like there was that stuff. I did find a what's it called? A vintage Ed Hardy shirt. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, it's like it was all brand name stuff. So I got rid of a ton of stuff. There's a little donation bin up the street that they basically destroy it because I guess it's illegal to throw your clothes away in Massachusetts. So like they have a bin where you take it and they fucking chop it all up. So I brought it there. So I brought the clothes there. So was like, all right, whatever. So I keep looking through this unit. There's like a bin that was closed. There's like 5 big bins. So I'm like, oh, sweet. There's going to be a bunch of stuff. And all of them were empty. There's a bunch of empty boxes. Like a lot of the boxes were empty. And so I'm taking stuff out. And so I ended up taking out like a bin. There was a bin full of tools, like brand new tools. They were a cheap brand. It was like Tack Life or something like that. But there was a bunch of them. So I took those all out. I took out like this big box that was like, I don't know what it was. I think it was like a ice fishing tent. So I picked that up. I'm like, all right. So I just kind of grabbed all the stuff that looked like sellable. There was an Xbox that would have been brand new. The box was disgusting. I had to get rid of it. I just took the stuff out of the box. Everything was sealed in the plastic, so I'll probably just take that out of the plastic. It's still outside. Yeah, it was. So there was so many. Okay. So the first day I grab all that stuff out. I'm like, all right, close it up. I've got the kids, so I'm like, I can't stay that long. Plus, it was hot as fuck. It was gross as fuck. And so, like, at that point, you could then smell, like, once it was open and I started moving stuff around, it started to smell, like, pretty bad. So I come back the next day and, I hadn't been there. And I was, like, literally, as somebody who digs through trash and, like, hoarder, I've been in disgusting hoarder houses. Like, this was the nastiest I've ever felt, like the most uncomfortable I've ever felt. It made me not want to buy storage units anymore. And I know that's not the case for all of them. But it was like, I was like dreading going back there. And usually when you get a storage unit, you're like, fuck, dude, I can't, that you haven't gone through, like, oh, fuck, I can't wait to go through this storage unit. So, I went back there twice. I went back the second time that day and got a couple more things. That's right, because I went back once my wife got home, and I just ran there real quick and ran back. So I went there twice that day. So after going there the second time, I was like, oh, there's like more trash in here than is actual stuff. Like, it was a 10 by 10 unit, and there was like a giant box, a TV box. So there was like a 50 to 60 inch TV box, like just the box. I'm like, why would you, like, there was a Ninja blender that was just the box. I thought it was like, and so at first I just started taking stuff down. I was like, all right, And then I was like, so my initial plan was like, I'm going to take out the stuff that I can sell and, just kind of do what I always do, just like how I work through a storage unit. Because when there's a storage unit that big, you know what I mean? I'm not used to doing like that, a lot of that stuff by myself. So I was like, all right, just got to kind of game plan. And so after the second visit, after getting a few more things, I was like, okay, I need to change up my strategy because there's a lot more trash than I thought initially. So I'm like, instead of just going in and taking out the good stuff, I'm just going to go in and get rid of the trash. So I go the next day. My godmother was in town. So she and my mom watched the kids. So I went Saturday morning. I went out to a few yard sales. I was like, I'm going to yard sales. I don't feel like going to deal with this unit yet. Plus, I don't think they opened until like 9:30. So I went around 7 to do some yard sales. And yard sales were okay on Saturday. I ended up getting. I'll talk about yard sales on Saturday after, because I'm in the middle of this story. So then I go back on Saturday. I bring a bunch of trash bags, more gloves, masks, and I'm like, and a box cutter. I'm like, I'm just gonna start cutting up boxes. Like, it's 90% boxes. If I can just start cutting all these boxes up, breaking these boxes down. The fuck's my kid doing? Hopefully she's not waking up her sister. So sorry, kids are. Oh, she's going potty. Hey. This kid hasn't gone potty all day. Sorry. Speaking of interrupting a fucking story, this is a stay-at-home dad podcast too. I'm supposed to talk a little bit about that stuff. But anyway, so go back on Saturday morning after hitting a few sales and start cutting up a couple boxes. And I start going through the boxes. And I had already known, I left out this detail because I was going to wait to get to this part. So I go in and like the boxes all start saying food. So I'm like, okay, this is why there's like mouse shit. And when I tell you there's mouse shit, like there was a ton of mouse shit. Like more mouse shit than I've ever seen in my life. And like it was like, luckily all the good, like the sellable stuff was like in the middle away from all the food, but it was just box after box after box after box of food, dry food. Like, just, I opened one box and it looked like confetti of like, cause it was like the silver pack, it was like snacks, whatever. It was like fucking snacks, pickle. It was like whatever you could like this person was storing food in there. Like, this was a pantry where like yeah, and then they were like, they saran wrapped some of the boxes. Like, I don't know if they thought that was going to help keep animals out, but like 90% of the boxes in there were food, and then the rest were empty. And then there was like a handful of stuff. I ended up finding a safe. Like, I spent the entire day on Saturday after I got back, once the kids were down napping, I just was outside wiping everything down with friggin' alcohol and bleach. Like, 'cause it's all brand new stuff, but it's just got like, so I just wiped everything down, alcohol, bleach, just. And when I left the unit, I was like, because I was going to go there and just break. So I started breaking down boxes. I found that safe. I found a couple other things. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to let them keep the cleaning deposit and get the fuck out of here. I cannot come back to this unit. Like, I cannot be in this fucking unit anymore. There was like little fucking moths or bugs flying around. It was, I eventually saw a mouse when I was digging through some stuff. But I was like, fuck this. I ended up closing the unit. I took my lock, took everything, went, left, and I was like, I'll call them tomorrow, you know what I mean, and let them know. And so I just kept getting busy, and then so finally I went to call them. It was like just before 3. So I'm like, I'll call them at like, no, leave, talk to them real quick. So I call them, and of course they close at 3. So I called like just before then, left a message. So they called me back the next day, and I told them, I was like, guys can keep this cleaning deposit. You know what I mean? That's like what I thought the agreement was. Like, I paid it to cleaning. Gave you the cleaning deposit. I didn't clean it, so you guys just keep it, clean it, whatever. So I thought that they were gonna call me, be like, this, that, and the other. But the guy was like, I'm so sorry. Like, the guy wasn't supposed to keep food in there. So I won't make you pay that $100. You can come get your $100, whenever you can. Sorry about that again. And I was just like, I wasn't like mad. Obviously, I bought a storage unit. They don't have any idea. But I was like trying to tell him, like, like, yeah, you're going to need like a professional crew, like, and you might want to check the other units around it, because like it was that bad. There was like a fucking, like a community of mice that had to be like, there was just like, it had its own ecosystem in there. I felt like I went through the portal to, in like King Kong, whatever King Kong movie it is, where there's like the portal and they just go like, and then they're like in the upside down kind of, and it's like, the parallel universe to Earth. That's what it felt like when I was in there, but just disgusting and smell. Like, I had that smell in my nostrils like the whole first fucking day, and then I got used to it, and then I had the masks, and it was just still not helping. And man, but I am gonna, like, the tools already are about to sell. I have one guy who's interested, who said he would pay $400 for the tools. Because they're not like cheap tools. I want them gone, so I'm selling them like on the low. But there's just a lot of them, so like, I figured a business or somebody would buy them. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna take them out of the packages anyway. And so there was like 2 people that are interested. One guy never hit me back. I'm still waiting to hear back from him, so I'm gonna hit him up in a little bit. Hit the other guy, the backup guy, up if I don't hear from him, because the backup guy sounds like a boomer who's like retired and shit, who's like does like side projects and shit. So he's not far, and I was thinking taking the kids to the splash pad because it's fucking hot out, and I've been working a lot, so I feel bad. I mean, I work from home, but still, it's just, the kids kind of, like, the kids said something the other day. They were doing like a water balloon fight, and I was dealing with this stuff with the storage unit, and I just didn't want them to like touch it because I hadn't finished wiping everything down, and so I was trying to move stuff out of the way. And so like they said something, like my mom or something said something about me being grumpy. My daughter was like, "Oh, he's working." You know what I mean? It's just, she didn't say like she was disappointed. She just kind of like knows like, "Oh, daddy's working." And then she like said something the other day about this is where our daddy works, like in the other part of the basement. So I just don't want her to think I'm like constantly working. So, trying to find that balance. Anyway, back to this fucking disgusting unit. Man. It was, man, just an absolute nightmare. Like, I still will buy storage units, but it ended up working out. I paid $10 total. They gave me the $100 back. Like, paid $10. It was probably like $12 after fees. And, I'm about to get that $400. There's another like Craftsman battery set that's brand new sealed that I wiped down, and that's like probably like a $40 to $50 thing. So there's like probably going to be at least $1,000 or more, because there was gold in the safe. Like, there was shitty jewelry that's worth, not shitty, but like, yeah, shitty, like Amazon jewelry. Everything was like Amazon. That's the other part that was weird. So everything that was in there was like brand new Amazon like stuff. Just like a ton of stuff. Like, I had enough in that unit to do like a small yard sale. You know what I mean? Like, just enough stuff in that unit that I could have had a yard sale and like made a bunch of money. So I put that stuff like in bags. That stuff was all not that bad. I mean, obviously it's kind of exposed. So I kind of sprayed everything down. All the stuff that was new with tags, I sprayed down with like just like a vinegar mixture, and just kind of let it sit, and then like mixed a little bit of bleach and just kind of sprayed that and let it sit for a little bit. But didn't actually fuck anything up. It was because it's just like gloves and stuff, but it was all brand new stuff with tags, and so I ended up, ended up taking that stuff and just leave. It's still outside. That stuff's not coming inside, so that stuff will stay outside till it gets like sold, even though I sprayed it all down and shit. But yeah, it was, man, that was like just this person had to be mentally ill. Like, you don't put that many fucking boxes of food in a storage unit and just think it's gonna be okay. Like, that shit's crazy. And I don't know, I don't know how long like they take before they can auction them off. Like, when was the last time this person was there? Like, did they know how bad it was and they were like, fuck this, I'm not coming back? I have so many questions. I really felt like I was just going to get, like, the Rat King was going to fucking come out and, like, you know, those, like, the ball of rats that's just, like, I thought that was going to happen. Like, that thing was going to pop out and just fucking take me down into the depths, and I would never come out of that storage unit again. And they'd clean it out and they'd never find me. They're like, where is he? I'm like, I just live here now. I'm like, fucking little microscopic fucking parasite on this rat's back now. Anyway, man, fucking, yeah. I know people throw the word traumatized around a lot, like, but it was like the closest I've, you know, because I probably have had trauma, you know. I grew up, I didn't have a rough childhood, but like, I've seen some shit during just the era that I grew up in. You know what I mean? Like, between the internet and like just the schools that I went to, like, you know, I grew up kind of hood adjacent, and so like you saw some shit. But this was like the only time I ever like felt. I was like, dude, is this what being traumatized feels like? Like, I didn't want to go back. I was like, I don't want to go back. And I kept like having to force myself, be like, dude, you've got to go back. You just fucking, it's not that bad. You can push through. And man, when I started going through that trash, that was like, that was when it hit me that I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here and never come back. So I will never bid on it. I mean, it was far away too. That was the other thing. It was like so fucking far. So it worked out. I didn't have to really clean the unit out. I just kind of did like a private pick of the most disgusting fucking unit ever. And yeah, the guy actually said to me, he's like, I hope you found some good stuff to sell, blah, 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 blah. Like, he was cool. You know what I mean? Like, but man, it would have been nice if he let me pick through those other units that were for sale that nobody bid on. But he wasn't even there when I got there. It was just some kid who like didn't know what was going on. He was like, oh, so you like just swept the mouse poop up? I was like, nah. I was like, I don't think that. I was like, unless you know what I'm talking. Like, I was like, that was the entire unit was. Never mind, bro. Like, he ended up calling his boss, and the boss told him like, yeah, just, you know, the $100 is somewhere. I forget where he said it was, but it was a doozy of a unit. I'm glad it's done. I don't want to deal with it again. But yeah, I mean, I should make a quick $400. And then this lady posted on like Facebook. Like, it was like yesterday. It went on Marketplace and it said, like, it was just a picture of like some Masters of the Universe sets, but they had like the Eternia play set, which is like a $400 or $500 set. If everything's complete. Which she said it was. She's like, oh, I need to put it together to make sure it's all there. She's like, I think it is, but who knows? I mean, still, like. So anyway, so she posted that and like a couple other pictures. So I was like, hey, and she was kind of vague. It was like sale coming soon, but it was like posted as a yard sale. So it was like sale coming soon. It never said yard sale coming soon. It said sale coming soon, something. Hold on, let me pull it up just so I can actually, because it was kind of vague. So like normally I wouldn't. I mean, sometimes I would hit you up if you're having a sale. Like, she wasn't having a sale. It was more so like in anticipation. Let me find my homie here. What was her name? I forget her fucking name. There it is. So it says vintage toys being put together, all the pieces. Stay tuned for the date of the sale. And she only posted it to one group, but then I saw another local reseller that that always, like, I don't know him, but I know he's a reseller, and I've had other people like mention his name to me. That's the only reason I know. And so he just kind of posted that he was interested. That's all he posted, but she didn't respond to him or anything like that. So I sent a message, because you can message on the post, and I just said, hi, I'm not sure if you're interested in selling everything as one cassette, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And she was like, oh, haven't decided on prices yet, this, that, and the other. I haven't put everything together. But when would you want to come take a look? And I said, oh, I don't mind about completedness, this, that, the other. Hold on. Sorry. Thought I heard something. Couldn't tell if my daughter was crying or not, but I don't think she is. Anyway, so so sent her a message like, hey, this, that, and the other. I said, I don't really mind condition or completedness, this, that, and the other. So as soon as I said that, she was like, okay, well, when can you come look? And I was like, well, I can come, like, today or tomorrow, this, that, the other. So hoping that I can make that deal happen with the tools, sell those tools, and then take that money to, go buy the stuff. I don't know how much stuff she has. Like, there's just a few play sets, and there's a bunch of bags. So I'm assuming those are all filled with toys. But then I checked her marketplace profile just to make sure she's not like another reseller. She looks like she's just like a little old lady trying to clean out. So I'm obviously going to try to make her a fair offer. But I don't know what all she has. You know what I mean? I've only seen one or two pictures. There's not much on it. And so yeah, I'm going in the morning to see that. I'm hoping it's some good shit, and I'm hoping she's like reasonable on pricing. She's not trying to like get top dollar, and hopefully she's not there looking them up right now on eBay. So hold on. I gotta take a quick break. Hold on. It's not being dishonest, and I just think when people hear reseller, they think of people who like buy shit like, in an emergency situation and sell them and price gouge them. You know what I mean? Like the people who are buying up all the hand sanitizer when everybody's fucking losing their minds about COVID. Like, even though like that was ridiculous, and like it's just like those type of people that will like in a situation like that where they're like, I'm gonna buy up all the shit that people need, or like the toilet paper. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of stuff that I think that people think of when they think of resellers. So when people ask me like, oh, are you a reseller? I just go, I sell online here and there. I'm not like, I just say I sell online. Like if they say, are you a reseller? I go, I sell online. You know what I mean? I don't say like, oh, I'm a reseller, because I just feel like people have like a negative association with it. And it's such a stupid word. I don't know. As I'm doing a podcast called the Roughly Related to Reselling Podcast. God, I'm such a fucking hypocrite. And apparently 90% of my vocabulary is so. Or so. Anyway. So. Let me see. Move on to the next. That fucked up my train of thought. I was doing okay, but I was going to do a shorter one up today anyway, just because I'm very short on time today, and I have a bunch of shit that I need to get to, and I really want to get through with it. So, oh man, I don't really have anything else on my podcast topics to talk about. Just other than like, I don't know, does anybody's parents have cats, or do you have cats? And do you scream at your cats? My mom screams at her cats. My mom lives in like on the same property, but just next to us, but we share a wall. Like it's two different houses, but we share a wall basically. And so when I'm in the basement, I'm under her, like working, I'm under her where she lives, and she like screams at her cats nonstop. And it's yeah, it's one of those things that's just kind of weird that I'm just so used to now. Like, since, because it's been happening since I was a kid. My wife is always like, "Is your mom screaming at her cats?" I'm like, "Yeah, she is. Is that not normal?" And she's just like, yeah, she's just constantly like screaming at them, constantly. I've said stuff to her before. I'm like, that's not normal, right? And she's like, "No, probably not." So she knows it's not normal, but she's got like toxic plasmosis from breathing in all that cat shit. I'm gonna probably have that shit after this storage unit. God damn, I definitely took a few years off of my life being in that thing. Whew. Hope the $1,000 is worth it. Ugh. But honestly, I was only in there for like a total of maybe 45 minutes. Like, yeah, I was in there, in and out of that thing. I was not trying to hang around. So for like 45 minutes, and then just whatever the work to wipe everything down. And the driving, was driving to that unit longer than I was in that fucking unit. So I guess it was worth it to take the gamble, especially since they gave me my $100 back. It would have been worth it even if they didn't. You know what I mean? I'm probably gonna sell those tools today for $400. You know what I mean? And that's easy money. And that's a big chunk of stuff just out of my house. My wife's gonna be so happy if I could sell that today. My wife gets home and those things are gone. She's gonna be so pumped. And I'm like, "Hey, look, $400, boom. That'll be dope." And then I can sell the gold. It's probably like $200 to $300 in gold and jewelry. So, yeah, it was a good unit. I'll still be able to sell that Xbox for like probably $50. The condition it's in, it's like everything's brand new. But yeah, it's one of those units that'll stick with me for the rest of my life. Yeah. So this weekend let me go back and talk about the yard sales from last weekend now that I'm done talking about all the gross shit. Because I did hit some sales last Saturday. So I went to, where the fuck did I go? There was a sale. There's a couple sales starting at 8. There was one sale that I went to that's like they do it every year. And every year, for the last like 2 years, this lady's let me in. She's let me in early. And so I just go in and like she lets me shop around. She's always very nice. It's always set up like the day before because I think the day before they let all the old folks. It's like an old folks community, but I think the day before they let all the old people go in and like get what they want before the sale. So it's always set up the day before. So anytime I go there that morning, I know it's already set up, and she's always there early. So she always lets me in. I always shoot the shit with her. She's cool, and so they had like a bunch of old Spawn figures. They had $10 each on them, and most of them, I mean, most Spawn stuff, that's like, let's be realistic, is not worth a ton of money. And so, but there was like a random, like rare looking, I mean, I don't know if it's rare, but it was just like some Japanese action figure, brand new sealed, but it was like good quality. So hopefully I can get some money for that. I think the only ones I could find were listed in Japan, so there was like none in the US. And then there was some Powerpuff Girls stuff, some vintage Powerpuff Girls stuff, so that was pretty dope. I got a set of glass. Like, I always see those stupid McDonald's glasses, and I don't know if you picked them up, but they always look like they're going to break. I always feel like I'm going to break them. If I came across a set, sure, I'd probably buy them, but I always come across like one or two. I'm not going to buy them and sit on one or sell one. I'd just rather sell the set. So I came across these Dr. Seuss ones from like Universal, and there was only one set that I could find, a set of 6. Of course, there's only 5. But it wasn't sold. They were asking a crazy amount of money, so I could still probably get a decent little flip for it. And then there were some Legos. Those are always easy. But yeah, so yeah, that's how it's been. So it's been pretty good this year, like despite my complaints. I've been selling some of the stuff from our trip to Maine. I still haven't got the Macho Man Randy Savage Halloween costume up yet. I'm really disappointed about that. I might work on that next. I just don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. I just got to do it. Just got to lay it out. I don't know why the fuck I'm like, I don't know how to do it. I just love like looking at it, you know what I mean? And I'm not even that big of a wrestling fan. I just think it's fun to like put it on. I put it on. We were our neighbors came and met us when we were in on vacation, and I put it on when they came to our little cottage. They were like, "What the fuck's wrong with this person?" They laughed. They thought it was funny. I think. Who knows? But I don't know. They don't know. I mean, I'm sure they probably have an idea of like how fucking bonkers I am. I'm not like bonkers like some fucking people, but I just like to fucking fuck around and shit. Fuck around and find out. And so anyway, yeah, so then after that sale, there weren't a ton. There was one sale that had advertised like these sick band t-shirts. Like there was like a Iron Maiden one that you could tell was fucking old. There's a bunch of sick ones, but that sale, you have to get there like crazy early, and they usually price everything pretty high. So I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time driving out there. I'll hit a few sales in this area. So I ended up hitting a couple other sales. I ended up finding these Disney gnomes, like garden gnomes. One was like a $200 thing, pre-owned, and another one was like 100 to 150, and then there was like a smaller part that was probably like 50 or 60 bucks, but I paid $5 each. So I'm gonna try and sell those locally because they're heavy and breakable, and you know, people like to be like, oh, they fucking broke in shipping, even though they're in styrofoam, and like, you know, they would be double boxed and all that shit. So anyway, those are what's it called? Yeah. Anyway, those are cool. That's what I meant. Sorry, I just got distracted. I'm fucking silly. I just got distracted. And then after that, so yeah, I got those. What else? I took a gamble on some electronics. So it was like a karaoke. It looked like a DVD player, but it was like a karaoke machine type thing, and it came with a ton of DVDs or like discs or whatever they were, and like the remote and like all the stuff that you needed. It didn't have a microphone, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, so that's like $150 to $200 thing, and then the other thing I got was like I can't remember what it is. Stereo of some sort. I don't know. I gotta test it to make sure it works. But I'm nervous to sell electronics because I've heard that like people will try to swap them out and shit. And I do have those security stickers. I'll probably put on them and make it easier. So we'll see. Make it less easy for them to fucking, you know. I guess I'll talk about this now. It's deep into the podcast. So if you're still listening to this episode of the podcast at this point, I mean, you've got to kind of be like a little bit on the same level. So anyway, here we go. So my mom was talking about a family friend that we just saw recently who was like retiring from the job that they had. And it's ironic that I'm speaking this way, but you'll never. Sorry, I'm fucking stupid. Here we go. So she's talking about. She's like, "Oh, did you hear why so and so is retiring from their job?" And she's like, and I go, "Yeah, you know, I heard part of it." And she was like, "It's because of like, it's just gotten so ridiculous with like the kids and their pronouns and this, that, and the other, and blah 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 blah." And so in my head, you know, I mean, I agree with that. I'm not like, you know, I'm like, whatever, you know, I'll call you whatever the fuck you want, but it's like gotten to the point where it's so fucking ridiculous that like, you know, in a few years, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but if you've ever seen the show Midnight Mass, probably talked about it before, but there's a scene in Midnight Mass where it's like at the very end. So like this, basically like this island gets not infected, but like a vampire makes his way. Like he bites this fucking dude, to save this dude who's a priest who's old. So the priest returns to the fucking his island where he's from, where he's a priest, and he's young and shit. And so all these people are like, oh, who the fuck's this guy, this new fucking hip priest, blah 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 blah. He's kind of weird. There's some weird shit going on, this, that, and the other. But then you find out like that he got bit by the vampire, and so then like he starts fucking biting other people. So basically this whole fucking island turns into vampires. They all fucking go crazy one night and are just like, going on a tear, like just turning everybody into vampires. So the next morning they all like, this is how it ends. Like, it's pretty crazy. It's a good show. Like, I'm not doing it I'm just trying to do the quick rundown. And so at the end, like all the people like wake up, because it's like during the day, or it's there. I forget what happens. I forget when it is, because if it's during the day, they all fucking burn. So I forget when it is, but they're basically like, they're all turned into vampires and shit. And like now there's like nobody else to fucking consume. And so they're all like talking normally to each other, and they're just like, hey, like, got a little carried away back there, huh? Sorry about that. Like, that's like generally how their attitude is at the end of the show, after they all just fucking tore each other apart. And so that's how I kind of feel like is going to happen in a few years or so. At some point, we're all going to just be like, we're going to come out of that vampire fucking haze and just be like, oh shit, dude, sorry. Like, the things got a little bit fucking wild back then. You know what I mean? It got a little bit weird. And so anyway, fucking completely just derailed my story. So my mom's telling me about this person who, left their job for that reason. And she's like, yeah, it's like, isn't that crazy? I go, yeah, it's fucking retarded. She's like, but I whispered it so my kid didn't hear, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, it's fucking retarded. And I kind of like whispered it. And so she's like, hey, don't use that word. Like, she gets all upset. And I go, whoa, what? You don't like when people police your speech? And she's like, you're not supposed to use that word. What if the girls start using it? I'm like, well, I don't use it like in front of them like that. Like, I did in that instance, but it was like they could not hear me, and they were not like, you know what I mean? I mouthed it essentially. And so it was just funny because she was talking about how, how this person left because she was sick of people policing her speech. And she's like, don't say that word. I'm like, all right, it's the same thing. You don't see like the parallel where it's the same thing. So that was just a fun little anecdote that I figured I'd share at the end of the podcast, since it's like the end. If you're still listening to this, you're probably not going to stop listening after that story. And if you do, I mean, I'm sorry. Please come back. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Like, normally I wouldn't have inserted that word, but I was like, yeah, it was just, I knew that as soon as I said that, she would be like, don't say that word. So I was just like, yeah, it's the same thing. You can't police people's speech. You know what I mean? Just let people say what the fuck they're going to say. And then I was like, it's more insulting if you're like, hey, like, look at that guy. He's fucking retarded. But he's like, no, that's not somebody who's retarded. You know what I mean? Somebody with a disability. Like, I think of a retarded person as somebody who's just like dumb. That's the way I'm using it. But anyway, the extra explanation wasn't needed. I'm sorry. Let's just erase that let's just forget that I said that part. Just go back to the other thing. Man, I'm gonna have to change this fucking show's name to roughly related to retardation. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Yeah, wish me luck at the state sale this weekend. If you're in the area, hit me up on Instagram if you want to know the address. It's posted everywhere. It'll be posted in the Facebook page, in my business Facebook page. But yeah, I think I'm gonna finish up the podcast. That should probably be close to an hour anyway. I think it'll be like 1 more minute or 2 more minutes, and it'll be an hour anyway. I wasn't planning on doing an hour, and then I just started talking about like fucking pronouns and all the wild shit. But I'm in the middle on that shit. Like I said, I've said before. Yeah, I think I've shilled for RFK before, but I still don't even know if he's gonna get my vote. I might just not vote. Who knows? I might just get a I voted sticker and be like, I didn't vote. I didn't. You know what? None of this matters. Anyway, all right, that's the podcast. I got to get to some shit. Fuck, man. The day always goes by so quick. All right. That's the show. I'll talk to you next week or a couple weeks. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe if there's enough wild stories from the estate sale this weekend, I'll have some stories to talk about. Or maybe I'll try to get Jay on the podcast again, and we won't have him distracted by the fucking CDs. That was such a horrible podcast. That should have been such a better podcast. Jay's so much better at doing podcasts than when we did that podcast, but he was distracted by those fucking stupid CDs. That got me a negative. Fucker. Anyway. All right. Last time, that's the podcast. Like and subscribe on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you get your fucking podcasts. Tell a friend. Yeah. And have a good week in reselling. Later.